you?
Good. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Those of you watching, listening, Liv and I have been friends for how many years? Four?
4 or 5?
I think so.
But
yeah, so we met good old community college, and now this girl is off on her modeling endeavors. So speak about that. How did you start? Why modeling? What do you like about it?
I would say I started early in community college when I was in the fine arts area and I saw people with photographers. I asked and offered to do projects for them. And I loved the way they turned out. I loved how it looked so me. And I thought to myself, is modeling a career? Because I kind of want to do it. So that's where it kind of came about. And making photographers who are now my friends to this day build their own page and helping me out with my experience has been quite a ride. And they've been helping me out through it all.
Okay, cool. So, where did you find your passion though? Like when you after your first shoot, how did you know like I want to do this?
I think my first shoot that I saw myself saying yes to modeling was probably one that I did with my coworker who's a photographer in downtown Lombard. He just needed people for his feed. And I offered. And then I realized, like, hey, I'm really good at this, and I feel like I could be more productive and do better in it. Yeah, I felt like there was just a spark there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So with all the like Tyra Banks and Gigi Hadid's and Kendall Jenner's, who are your icons and inspirations in the modeling industry?
My role models and icons are Audrey Hepburn.
Classic.
Yeah. Gigi, not so much, but I have to say my number one right now is Zendaya.
Okay.
Yep. And I do love Justin Bieber's girl.
Is she a model?
Haley
Bailey. Yeah.
I think it's Haley.
It's Haley.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's a model.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she models with Kendall Jenner and all that.
Yeah. Do you catch yourself like learning from them or their styles or their poses?
I would say I learn their styles more than I do than modeling.
So more Zendaya than anybody.
It's Zendaya that I learn about the modeling part, and then say Kendall Jenner or Gigi or Haley Bieber, whatever. Mm-hmm. I learn their styles more.
So how do you think that? What makes you think that you're fit to be a model? Because I know for damn well I'm not fit to be a model. So some people are. Like, did you like wake up like, oh, I'm tall, I'm pretty, I can be a model? Like, what made you think like, I got what it takes?
At times I have my days where I think I don't have what it takes, just because I think of the negative people out there, you know, chasing at me or like saying negative things. But I think I have what it takes because I've been doing it for this long, five years maybe. And if I've been doing it this long, like, why stop, you know?
Mm-hmm. So you said that sometimes you wake up and like you don't think you have what it takes. What are some other challenges that you have to like catch yourself before you go to a shoot?
The challenges I face before going to a shoot are confidence, because there's a difference when you have an iPhone camera in front of you comparison to a professional camera in front of you. Like, there's a different feeling. Like right now, for instance. But I'm still trying to become comfortable in front of a professional camera and expressing and being myself compared to an iPhone camera and just taking a selfie or taking a picture of somebody.
Are there certain like affirmations you tell yourself in the mirror or like on your way to a shoot? Like what are some things that you say to yourself to psych you up?
I listen to music to help boost my confidence. But I think, you know, like I got this, like just be me, just be me. It's nothing to worry about. Just another shoot with another person, you know? But it all rides up when it's all ready.
Right.
And it just builds up inside and you're like, oh shit, like what am I supposed to do? Like
those jitters.
yeah.
What are some songs in that confidence boosting playlist that you have?
I actually made a playlist. I would say definitely Beyonce.
Always.
Some old songs like ones you know would listen to growing up in high school, like Fall Out Boy, or like freaking Disney songs, you know, like Lemonade Mouth. Oh my god, like I will listen to that.
Yeah. I don't know about the Lemonade Mouth.
Okay, depends on what song you're listening to from that.
I think I might listen to Cheetah Girls. Maybe that's just popular.
I listen to Christina Aguilera.
Okay.
Okay.
They're like, okay, now I like
She's kind
you
of
again.
annoying to me, but it's okay. She's for certain people. Not just not for me.
Christina, how's Christina Aguilera?
Or she just growls too damn much. Like it's okay to just sing a song.
Ooh,
I'm not saying I listen to Genie in a Bottle. Or like, oh, I need to be a genie in a bottle before a shoot. Let me just rise up. No,
Maybe that's a confidence booster for you. I don't know.
You know, it could be for
It
someone
could be.
out there.
You just had a whole analogy. Now you can add that to your playlist.
True.
Be like, I'm a genie in a bottle and I'm gonna rise at this photo shoot.
Now the next time I think about that song, I'm gonna think about Live at a Photo Shoot.
Please don't. Like, you know the song Lady Marmalade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to that.
What she did with Pink and Maya.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Lil' Kim and Missy Elliott.
Here's some songs that I listen to.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Drake, gotta have Drake on there.
Mm-hmm.
What was that Drake song that we do word by word?
Child's Play.
Child's Play.
Yes.
You gotta add that on here. Okay. Some Ariana Grande. Love it. Billie Eilish. Okay, yeah. I can see how these are pump up songs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, some Bruno Mars, Jessie J.
She's great.
I love Jessie J.
I love Jessie J.
I mean, even Jessie J is having an impact on the modeling world. So
Really?
like, I think so, definitely. Especially like with her sexuality and everything. So like segueing from that, what's like an impactful thing that you've learned within your modeling experience? Because you are still amateur at this point. So what are some things that you're learning in the process?
I'm still learning style-wise, like what is my style? What do I want to do a project on next? Because my last shot that I did, I had paint on my back saying like hurtful words. And this is supposed to be not just on me, but like for anybody else in the world that has been going through the pandemic and stuff. It's just written all in black, just saying hurtful things or what you think about yourself, but don't show on the outside. And I think to myself, do I do or do not post that? That's where the conflict happens in my brain. Like, yeah, I don't have a shirt on because there's paint on me, but whether it's just with my back, how do I not I can't tell if I want to post it or not.
Got you. So you still have that perception of what other people think about you?
Oh
when you
yeah,
post certain
definitely.
pictures?
Like I know my friends support me 100%. It's just the family.
Well, it's always the ones closest to you who necessarily don't understand in the beginning your process, and that's why you have to be more in tune with like what you're doing and like why you want to do it for that reason. And once you feel confident about it, and you can't have anybody like tell you that you're not that way about it, they'll start seeing, that confidence and that love that you have for it, and they'll start believing in you too. So it's always like that in the beginning. Like we said in another podcast that we had, it's always like where you're from, who doesn't believe in you first, they're gonna be harder on you first than, other people who don't know you and they're getting to know you at that point. So it's gonna be like hard in the beginning, I feel like, with that. But I'm happy you shared that so other people can see like even your support system at times are not going to be as supportive as you want them to be. So.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the hardest things when modeling is the photographer, will ask you, okay, like what do you want to work on? And what are your ideas? And then you think to yourself, oh shoot, like I thought you were going to plan something, like I thought you were going to do something, but I didn't know I had to do all the work. So immediately I think to myself, oh, I got to think of an idea to do, because if this is my portfolio I'm going to build, or my feed on Instagram I'm going to build, like I got to fill it with things that are me.
That's interesting, because when I think of modeling, I don't really think of models having a say in the pictures. I always think it's the agency, it's the company that the ad is for, or it's the photographer. So
I'll just show up and take the picture.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too.
So with like most of your shoots, they like value your input and your say?
Yeah. I mean, I'll bring a bunch of clothes with, and then I'll go and they're like, all right, what did you have in mind? And I'm like, shit, I brought all these clothes and ready to work around it and see what we can do.
Okay.
Does this help like mold and create your brand that you create for yourself? Do you just bring yourself into those photo shoots, or do you just try to go based off, what you're feeling for that day?
Based off what I'm feeling and what my style, or basically what I've been feeling that day or week or months, what I've been wanting to shoot in, but no, like you see crazy photographers do like space editing or like crazy lights and shadows, and it's like I want that too. I'm ready to work with that, but do I need to tell the photographer, or do I need to plan it out? And I'm still learning through that. And when I go in, I'm like, all right, I guess I'm winging it by ear.
How many shoots have you had in the past 5 years?
Aside from friends, I would say 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. And like, what were the steps that you had to take to get into those shoots? Like, I know you said some of them were friends. Have you had any professional shoots?
So I have had, I think you used my picture on the one.
Yeah, I know that one was definitely professional.
That was professional for sure. And I feel like the last guy I shot with was professional because I did it with him in his studio. So I think those are going to turn out more professional than what have been going on lately, because my friend will just take pictures around in the outside.
Yeah. So for the professional shoot, did you reach out, or did they reach out to you? How was that relationship formed, or partnership, I should say?
So when I first met him, he told me, hey, I got a studio in the city. If you ever want to, come around, let me know, and we can find a time. I reached out to him and we did, and it all worked out.
Did he just find you randomly on the street?
Actually,
Because I'm like,
you know,
hey, you look cute. Come to my
no, I actually reached out to him because I saw that one of the people I follow, I saw the photographer, like, who's this person who did this awesome editing. And I'm like, oh, he's in Chicago and she's in Michigan. How did this work out? And I went to his page and I messaged him, and it was actually one of the scariest things, but the pictures turned out amazing. And that was the one on the parking garage with the vintage and the silk gold dress.
Okay. Did you post that to your Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll put that picture in the video so people can see it.
All right.
Please add a note in there. So you're a part of the Beauty and Me modeling company, right?
Yeah, I am.
So it sounds like with a lot of your work or the shoots that you've done recently, you've like found the work. So for the fam, who are looking, or people who are interested in being a model, does your modeling agency find you work, or is it mostly just you looking for work?
And like you represent them.
Right.
Yeah. So it's mostly me finding the work and photography to do with other people. And then I tag Beauty and Me, and then they will repost it.
Interesting.
So could you describe the steps of like how to work with a modeling agency? Like, what is that?
Yeah, did you have to apply? Did they scout you?
Yeah.
So first of all, I found them through one of my friends in high school who has been a part of them like throughout college and stuff. And so the agency is located up in Michigan, like 5 hours away. So I have never met any of the girls online whatsoever.
No.
Nobody I've talked to, just like texted or snapped. But yeah, they have their own agency up there. They like do every other Friday a workshop. And so I think to myself, I could be doing that if I was up in Michigan and gaining more experience. But I'm basically like trying to do it all on my own.
Would you ever take a trip out to Michigan to do those workshops?
I mean, I would but I wouldn't want to wait like a whole week, just to wait for a workshop to happen.
Got you.
So what's stopping you from moving to Michigan? Is it like you want to be out here with family?
Yeah.
Okay.
Family's here, and I mean, I couldn't take a ride up to Michigan all by myself.
True. I mean, it seems like you're making it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yourself being an amateur model.
They make everyone involved, and they keep messaging others and saying like, how are you doing in life, this and that. So like they will still contact me. It's not like they'll forget about me.
Yeah. So it seems like from what you're saying, it's an agency, but it's also more so like a mentorship too, where they like prepare you for different photo shoots and stuff like that. Got you. Okay. Yeah, because I always just had the stigma that modeling is you're with this giant agency, they will book you for shoots, fly you here, fly you there, send you clothes. Like, I think super, super lavish. I guess that's what I'm thinking about. But
I would love to take a trip to California. Like, if anyone's offering out there, that'd be great.
Which 3 cities? Like Paris, New York, or LA? Those are like the 3 hubs. Paris.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Why Paris?
Why Paris? One, I've never been. And like, it's known for fashion. And just thinking about it gets me all like jittery inside. But I feel like it'd be so cool, like to have like a best friend out there who was a photographer and just like walking around and just like looking all like Audrey Hepburn or just like flying in style, basically.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
So let's bring you back down to reality. How was your first shoot? What were your nerves like on your first shoot?
Oh, I like was just standing there and like leaning up against the wall saying to the photographer, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? But now it's like I'm constantly moving, like moving around my clothes and stuff, and just they say the more awkward your position is, the better it'll be.
That's weird.
I can't think of an awkward position that I've done. I mean, I can do awkward positions in front of my yeah.
I'm weak. Yep, that's out here.
And that would be the shot for the front of the magazine. I mean, it makes sense because when you look at them, like, and you look at these different pages now, like you see them like smiling and stuff, but you do see like weird ass poses.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, how do you make that work? Yeah. But I guess you guys are just in a moment to where, you know, you're just feeling it, you know, with the music that you have playing in the background. And then, do you like the, like when they hype you up and stuff like that during the shoot? And they're like,
like girl, it takes about like a half hour for me to get comfortable and feel it out and just like keep on like working it. And then I'll hear them behind the camera like, oh yeah, keep it there. Like I like the chin up. That's it. You know, all right now. And they'll tell me what to do. And then they'll describe it to me like now just like rest your shoulders and just like lay your hand on your
that looks head. Good right there. It looks very like swan like.
Oh wait. I be on Instagram and I'll see like somebody will just like have their arch or their back arch and they'll look back, but they're like looking down. I'm like, that's so cool. Like it's so weird. And what I do like about modeling photography is you get to see so many different forms that our body can be in, and it's actually really artistic. Ask me to do it, I look like a blob. Like, what you doing looking down like that? Like, it's
that's
just
my potato
right? Like, I just don't get this side profile right here, but I don't know. It's really interesting. So it's kind of cool that you have control over quote unquote your awkward movements, and they also like kind of coach you through that.
Yeah, when I'll be like stretching during a break, they're like, "Oh, like that's a great position if you did that," and I'm like, "Really? Like, are you sure?" I'm just trying to crack my back.
Right.
Yeah, it's like even not even modeling, but like when doing, say, yoga, like what your body can do on that, and how people can stand on their own freaking head, like. What like is just thinking about what our bodies can do is so magical but so weird at the same time.
So do you like test it out at home before you go to a shoot? Are you like, yeah, I want to try this out at a shoot, but I want to see if it's cool at home first, and then you take it to the shoot?
I like look things up on, say, Pinterest, like the type of projects like I want to do or poses. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like I'm gonna try that out, or I think this will be good if I like just like try this pose out. And I'll like look in the mirror, I'll have my clothes on, and I'm like, yeah, like I feel good in this outfit. Like I think I'm gonna work it. And when I get there, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh shit. But then I see the photos on the aftermath, and I'm like, they look amazing. I don't know like what's wrong with me.
So how long does a shoot like typically take?
An hour or two.
Do you ever like push that like with costume changes and things like that?
Yeah, so my last shoot we did like up to 3 costume changes.
Where's your last shoot at?
It was at the guy who I met at his studio.
Okay. Got you. Okay. And so like describe us through your typical day of modeling, and like were your expectations met? Because like, obviously I have an idea of what a typical day of a model is, but I have no idea. So what were your expectations going into it? And what was the reality?
So my expectations going into modeling were, I'm going to be a part of something, I'm going to have clothes to wear, and I'm going to be able to model it for them. It's going to be easy. It's going to say, be fine. I'll be okay. But knowing that I'm doing this all on my own, I'm like, well, this kind of sucks because I have to do this all on my own. And I feel like it's just me. Like no one is supporting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have friends, like I said before, like I know I got friends out there supporting, but like I feel like I'm just trying to find all these photographers and places to go and shoot all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm nervous because I don't know these people. So
It's
I don't know
humbling,
how to
though.
reach out.
It's humbling though, don't you think? Like you having to go through the ringer, through all these hoops to get these photographers, these shoots, you have to do the networking and connections. Like I feel like looking at it right now, and then once you get to where you want to get to later on, you're like, you know what? I'm glad I went through that alone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I had to network myself. I had to coordinate with these photographers because then when you're famous years from now, you ain't got to do shit, you know, like.
Or you know how to, the steps that's needed. So like we had an issue with our camera and stuff today. And we were just like, we hate doing this shit. Like we just want to come in and, you know, go ahead and just start filming.
Yeah, we want a video editor and audio
and
engineer.
do all of that.
Yeah.
So, but in the process, we're also learning how to work each and every niche or thing that has to go with this podcast. So whenever, if somebody is messing up or they're not doing something right, we can come in and be like, hey, you got to do this, or this needs to be adjusted or whatever like that. So that could also help in the process of you with your modeling, like, you know, how to reach out to different photographers, what to look for when you're reaching out to them, or how to speak to them, or in terms of like different brands, how to, you know, speak to them, network with them or whatever like that. So that can help mold, you know, how you go through your future. So if somebody comes in, they're like, oh yeah, I want to be your manager, I want to get you all these things. And you're like looking at them like, I had to do this before I was my own manager,
Right.
and things like that. So I know what you need to do. So if you don't do that correctly, you know, you're out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like this season is all about visionaries. So under the umbrella of visionaries, we have our amateur models, professional models, we have photographers, videographers, artists, amateur clothing designers. Like everybody on this podcast that are guests this season, we all do it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather interview and have conversations with creatives, artists who are doing the grunt work, because as Edo said, he's in the green. So like when Edo says in the green, it means like we're reachable. We're doing the things that we got to do at the ground level in order for us to get to where we got to go. So I feel like even though it is hard for you and it does like suck, if we ask you to be on this podcast, you're doing a really good job.
And it's crazy because the models were just supposed to be the muses. You were always supposed to give us that insight on how it is to be that creative like thing that a photographer or somebody wants to see. But to see the background and what you have to go through, and that you are a part of the creative process, and sometimes you have to do it yourself, that's interesting to hear too, because for people who are just getting into modeling, this might be what they're going through too. So you explaining your process could be helping somebody else understand and learn that, hey, like, okay, I'm not the only one that has to book my own shit. I got to find my own photographer.
Right.
I got to make sure I'm creating my own brand. Like, it wasn't to my knowledge that agencies didn't do all of this for you all. I thought that's what you all went to them for. And just to see your point of view, it's refreshing to see that, like, okay, they're not just behind the camera, they're also behind the scenes as well. So
like this just became an Oprah session. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah. We're giving you advice like we your aunties or something.
Oh, thank you so much. No, but even when I post a picture,
Mm.
that's also one of the things that is very hard when modeling, or like even like for your podcast, keeping up with the crowd,
content,
you
yeah.
know. It's hard, like, because it's like several times a week
Right.
at least. And whenever I do post something, people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're so hot, you're so this, you're so that." And in my mind, I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, I love you guys so much, but like, I'm getting overwhelmed about how much courage this took me to just post this picture, or even seeing like 5 different photographers messaging me or wanting to follow me. And I'm like, will these photographers even message me? Or will they contact me? Or do I need to contact them first? Is that how it works out here? I have no clue. So, like, social media is also another very difficult process.
Yeah. So since it's a difficult process, like how do you handle the feedback that you're given, whether it's positive or negative? Does the positive make you want to continue to keep going? Like, does that refuel you, or does the negative take away from how you're feeling? Because you did say it was overwhelming to just get the confidence up to do the shoot. Now you've done it and you get this feedback from it. Like, how does that alter you going forward?
So, I would say, like, I want like all the photos in one, you know? But I talked to, say, a friend or some other photographer, like, when will the rest of the photos come? They'll either say, these were the favorites that came out, or even like, oh, I'm going to edit the other photos in about like a couple months. And I think to myself, so what should I do? Should I like post a picture now?
Right.
Or do I wait until everything is finished?
Okay, so I know that you said one of the hardest things about your experience with modeling is, or at least being amateur, is you have to do a lot of the work yourself. What is something else that is kind of tough about modeling at this point, at the stage that you're at?
Aside from doing it all alone, I would say just like trying to find the management, the people who will be there for me, or like try and look out for things and help me in that kind of way, shape, and form. Other than my ass just trying to look around and find it on its own.
So the networking.
Yeah,
The networking.
I would say so.
Do you think that your network improves?
My what?
Your networking improves? Your networking?
In what way do you mean that?
Like
Maybe from like when you first started to now, as your network.
do you feel
Okay,
more
because I was
comfortable
like
reaching out
thinking
to
computers.
I'm weak as hell. There's no networking.
Wait, networking on computers. Oh, like your network, like
Connection?
connection.
Like Wi-Fi?
That's what I was thinking. I'm sorry. I'm like, what does that have to do with this?
That's a
topic?
neck. Where's Kevin?
I don't know where Kevin is. I hit him up.
I don't know where Kevin is either. I need to hit him up. Hey Kevin, if you listen to this, miss you, big kid.
Yeah, why don't you talk to us anymore?
But has your networking improved? Yes. Okay. Got you. You are literally having a Phoebe moment right now. This is how Olivia is, y'all. This is how Olivia is.
No, it's not the luggage you whispered.
I'm weak as hell. Anyway.
I have to figure out where we left off of. Did you have a preference for the type of brands that you modeled for? Like when you were choosing, or your photographers, when you were looking at their work, did you have like a preference? Do you like how, some people use color within their photography, or do you like how they use like, I know people are like getting into like floral, the outside, does that factor into your preference for who you're modeling for?
Yeah, it totally depends on the photographer, like you said, and what kind of edits they can make out of it. Floral would definitely be one of them. And also I like the look of vintage and retro stuff. So like a newspaper wall or backdrop, like with retro themed, outfits. Like I feel like that would be just like cool as hell to do, because it's me. And or even like different lights and shadows, or like a disco ball reflecting on my face, things like that. It's just like so amazing how the photographer's mindset is brighter and like so much different comparison to and how they work with like the outfits. Like, oh, I think this will be great if we did this with this
You
outfit.
kind of get to see their craft from their perspective.
Yeah, and I'm like, I would have never thought about that, or even like them showing off what type of moves and things like that.
Right. So with those specific shoots, like when you're going based off the photographer and what they can give you, so you said you like floral and then you like the vintage look, do you try to match what you're wearing to that as well? So like when you do like the vintage shoots, so are you trying to like wear a vintage designer with it and see if people will catch it, or like?
Yeah, like I would say like I would wear not ripped or non-ripped, like washed out jeans. I would say boyfriend kind. And I would say a cropped shirt, depending on the weather and stuff. Jean jacket, definitely oversized. And
I love an oversized jean jacket.
Oversized t-shirt as well. Those are awesome. And yeah, I always, to photo shoots, I always bring objects, like just to hold, whether it be the photographer's choice. Yeah, like, so retro thing would be like, oh, hey, I brought a pack of cigarettes. Do you want me to pretend like I'm smoking and stuff?
You said it just like that. Do you want me to pretend
I'm smoking and stuff? But yeah, stuff like that. Essentials.
So going into the industry aspect, what are the relationships with models between each other? Like, is it cutthroat, like top model, or at your level, is it more like encouraging? We're all trying to start out and make something of ourselves. Like, how is that?
Like, what's my type?
Like, have you had any interaction with any other amateur models at these shoots? And if so, like, how is the atmosphere? How's the environment?
Like, do you guys talk? Is it just like quiet?
I will talk to other people, but now, like, it's been more quiet lately. Like, people are just gathering. Once I'm there, people are gathering their stuff and they're talking to the photographer or looking through the photos, and then they're off,
Got you.
as I'm trying to get settled in and get ready.
Is
for
it just
mine.
due to COVID that it's like
You know
that
what?
now?
I don't know if it's just the person themselves or if it's just COVID for them. I don't know. And I'll always ask, like, hey, are you a model? They'll say no. And I'm thinking, like, then what are you here for? I look at it as like a competition then. And so I'm like, what are you here for? Because I'm trying to become one. But no, apparently this girl had her own, she was an entrepreneur and she was trying to do a monthly, like, Women's History Month sort of thing.
Mm.
So like women power and all that.
Mm-hmm.
She was doing something like that.
Got you. What perceptions or misconceptions did you have about modeling, and how do you feel about those now? Have those changed at all?
Like I would say some like meeting new people and not knowing who they were. That's definitely changed. Because the guy who I recently worked with, I didn't know him at all, and I met him through Instagram. And so I was so nervous getting to know him and work with him for the first time, thinking I had to pay him. That's another thing. Like payment, like you don't know if you have to or not, like because whether it be an issue or if with bookings and stuff, because this guy is always busy. All photographers are. And I asked him, I'm like, oh, payment wasn't involved, so do you want me to buy you a coffee? I can do this for you or anything. I went to his studio. Me and him are good friends now. And I said, hey, since I didn't pay for the last one, do you want me to pay you this time? And he said, no, don't worry about it. It was never brought up. And I'm like, I have to give you something. I feel bad. But he's like, no, don't worry about it. You're cool. But it also occurred to me in the back of my mind, is it because I'm not as professional? Is that why you're not making me pay? I mean, I don't mind not paying, but don't get me wrong. But I'm also like, am I not paying for you because I'm not as good as the other ones that you take pictures of?
Got you.
And are booked for?
Got you.
I wouldn't even go with the negative like that. I would just say, because I've seen your work too, and I just think you're just talented in what you do. So it could be that they see what you could do and you're trying to build your brand and who you are. So maybe because he sees that, it's like, okay, well, let me not charge her, right now. Because you never know, you might take off tomorrow. And if you like his work, he'll be the photographer that you bring along too. So it's probably maybe building the relationship there and then allowing you to continue to grow. Yeah. I don't think it's that you don't, because you're not as experienced as you would like to be or the other ones are. I think it's your work. That's just what I'm hearing right now in my head.
You're still getting to know me. It's okay.
Yeah. So in the modeling industry, we know that, we're seeing with you that you have to pretty much do the work by yourself. So are there any other trends or things in the model industry that you don't agree with? If so, what is it?
That I don't agree with, like me personally, or like all the above?
All of the above. Let it all out. I want to hear everything.
So say the question one more time.
So are there like any trends or things in the model industry that you don't agree with? So maybe how they treat you all, or maybe some misconceptions with being a model, or things along those lines.
I would say I don't like how the trend right now is you both meet someplace and it's like it's not as communicative as it should be. It's just like, let's meet here this day, this time. And then you have to wait and they don't talk to you. I guess you don't talk to them until like the day of, And that's also the scary part is because you don't know this person, etc.
Right.
And I was going to say, so you're saying that you want it to be more interpersonal?
I think it should be. It'll make us as models feel more comfortable. And also when the photographers are behind the camera, I want like I feel like there aren't as many fun photographers out there. Like, here, let's play music, get something fun going on, like to let you loose, let it all out, get me all, you know?
They don't match your vibe.
Yeah, like you gotta get someone to match your vibe, because a lot of them out there are just behind the camera and they are quiet and they're just trying to get every angle to get, and in your mind you're thinking, I have no idea what they want out of me. I don't know what they, and I'll ask that to them. I'm like, is there something certain you want? Or they're like, no, this is all you. This is all you. And I thought this whole time, like, and I still think, I thought the photographer had the creative mindset.
Right?
So why is it my job?
Got you.
So when Olivia takes off in the model industry, during that process of finding photographer, are you going to try to implement like a meeting in between to where you all can get your creative differences out, where you're trying to go get to learn that person and then you go into shooting? Or are you just gonna continue this path of how they're doing it now?
I mean, I have reached out to other photographers and on Instagram. Not many have reached out, or they've either said, hey, I pay up to, I book up to this amount of, they told me the price and whatever. But I don't know how I feel about the price, because it totally depends on the photographer themselves. And yeah, I mean, I'm good with where I'm at, and I've liked the people who I've been working with. But that's the hard thing, is just seeing what other photographers are out there and how you are able to trust them.
So would you say that's like the biggest improvement at the amateur level?
Yeah, that, I mean, like making a friend and who's been able to help me throughout COVID, that's been a big thing. Because yeah, it was just nervous. And meeting on the rooftop of a parking garage, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It sounds like murder right there.
So in terms of like, we'll get into your future career goals, advice. Now, an amateur model who's starting out for the first time, let's say they have the same fears, misconceptions that you had, what advice would you give to them to overcome that?
It's just a phase. It's just a phase right now. And like,
Need to restate the question?
yeah, say the question again. I think I forgot it.
That's 3 brain farts in a row in this podcast. You're right? No.
Wait, we had a bathroom break too.
That was my fault.
Let's say I want to get in the amateur level, but I'm super nervous with networking, as in talking to photographers and managers. I'm super nervous at my first shoot. I don't know what to do, what to wear, how to pose. What is some general advice you would give to somebody?
I would give them the questions, like ask them about payment, ask them like what kind of shooting that they do and where they're located and what kind of work they want to do with you, you know?
So you're saying like,
if they want,
these are the questions I should ask the photographer?
Yeah, if you wanted to work with someone. And posting wise, I would say if you just rolled in with a bunch of new photos and you're ready to put them on your Google Drive, that's another thing, is always that I actually need to do too. Putting all your photos, if you're a model, all your best photos into a Google Drive so that it's safe and somewhere not in your camera roll, so that people just don't go through it like that.
Mm. Okay.
And but posting wise, I would say 2 to 3 times a week, but not on the same day. I think you're overflowing your people if you post it all on the same day.
And what advice would you give for somebody to get over like their mental jitters, to get out of that mental state of like a nervous first shoot?
I would ask them what calms them down,
Mhm.
and to do that before a shoot comes along, like whether it be meditating, listening to music, or calling someone, whether it be a family member or a best friend.
Okay.
Because I know I will call my best friend up and I'm like, I'm just freaking out right now and I don't know what I'm doing with my life or whatever. I feel like I'm not going anywhere, just an amateur. And they're like, no, like, Liv, you're greater than that and you're going to do great things. Like, don't worry. And I think to myself, yeah, like, this is just a phase. I'm going to look back on it. Bigger things will come. And it's crazy how it is right now. Like, we're all trying to figure out where we want to be. And everyone is changing their minds about jobs right now and where they want to go with it. Throughout this pandemic, it's ridiculous, but it's also like kind of, life-changing in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Because people, it's like they needed a break from the world just to like mentally like be there for themselves and figure themselves out,
Exactly.
So, with speaking of the future and where we're trying to go, so for Olivia, for full-time modeling, like, are you more interested in the future for like boutique studios versus agencies? Like, are you trying to go more commercial versus print? Like, what exactly are you trying to get into with your modeling full-time?
So for being a full-time model, I do want to do like, do brands and stuff. I think that would be awesome. And working with clothing, whether it be like a boutique store contacting me and saying like, hey, can you sponsor us? Or can you help us gain more people? I love doing that. And commercial and printing, that'd also be really cool. I mean, if I was on a commercial and you saw me, I'm sorry, but I'm not at the same time.
Well, how would you be sorry?
Because I'm me. Like, if you saw me trying to, okay, there are 2 kinds of commercials I would be in. This is the one. Pantene commercial.
Okay.
Wait, what's Pantene?
It's a type of shampoo.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
And then like a toothpaste commercial.
Really?
Okay, I can see that. She's smiling so big now. So
I know. Okay, well, maybe that, yeah. But I feel like you would be in like something more goofy.
Okay, what's a goofy commercial out there?
M&M's.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Your personality.
Like kind of like a cereal commercial.
Yeah.
Or the gum where they're like, you liquor. That would be funny.
Yeah, I could see you like if you were in the ads, you would have some type of corny phrase, and then you'll have that catchphrase with you wherever you
I'd
go.
be like eat cereal, and then like the Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs come along. I'll be like REESES to the UFF.
I remember that. Oh my gosh, the nostalgia. How hard was it for you to break into the amateur aspect of modeling? The amateur stage, I should say.
A long time, like quite a few years. I still feel like I'm an amateur,
Yeah.
but I know that I've gained more experience, and um what I've what I have experienced is like much more than what I could have conquered before.
Right. Right. And I know you mentioned Instagram a lot in the podcast. So would you say that there's a difference between said Instagram influencers and amateur models who use Instagram as a tool? Like what would you say is like the difference between those two? Or is there not a difference?
Using Instagram as a tool, and what else?
Yeah, so like there's Instagram influencers
Mm-hmm.
that brands just send them stuff. They send them stuff, they post pictures of themselves with the brands. They're an influencer.
Yeah.
But then you have amateur models who are using Instagram as their portfolio.
Yeah.
Other than that, what are some other differences between those two? Because I feel like some people say, oh, she's pretty, she's posting on Instagram, she's Instagram influencer,
Mhm.
but she's not. This is her portfolio,
Yeah.
you know?
The thing is, when I get messages from influencers, I don't know whether to trust them or not, because I don't know if I'm going to get anything out of it aside from a 15% off, like, discount. But, and then it's like, I have to know that, oh, if I'm an influencer for this, I gotta, like, keep on wearing it and keep posting pictures whenever I do wear this or that, just to sponsor for them. But no, I actually, like, I would say I'm in between. I have been an influencer for shoes, Bangs shoes.
I remember that's when you first started.
Yeah, that's when I first started, like, getting into asking my cousin, who's a photographer, and I was like, hey, can you take pictures of these shoes for me? Like, I don't know I can't take a picture of these shoes. But that's where it started, like, to become a real thing and more professional, aside from being in college and just doing projects with other people and all that stuff. So yeah, but I don't know why I stopped with the whole shoe thing. I think it was because every single month they wanted a picture out of me or everybody who was involved, and they always had a theme. And yeah, like, whether it be corny for fall, like, falling in love for Bang shoes.
Yeah.
So you just didn't like it.
Yeah, I was kind of getting sick of trying to have the need to post something, even though I didn't want to.
It was becoming
just
more
doing it.
superficial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
So with being an amateur model, and let's say there's somebody who wants to get into modeling, do you suggest that they attend a modeling class or no?
That would not be my first advice. I mean, people ask me, are you going to go into a modeling class? And I think to myself, no way. I'm not going to, because I learn everything from myself.
Right.
And that's the best way to learn it. Like, I don't want to make someone teach me how to walk or teach. What?
No, I said, ooh, that's just a different perspective.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, because everyone has a signature pose, everyone has a signature walk, everyone has a signature everything, and you find that on your own when you keep looking at not the same pictures, but every, like, different shot that you've had, you see a same, like, photo that looks the same in every single one. And it's just like, I've started to realize that, and I'm like, I do this a lot, and I don't know why I always look like this.
Yeah.
But I kind of like it.
So are you saying that modeling classes, they tend to pump out the same old cookie cutter techniques, and you just see that too often?
I wouldn't say I see it too often. I've never seen a modeling class. Like, I'll see Beauty and Me
Mhm.
do like their classes, their get-togethers, only because the girls will post stuff on their stories or I'll see stuff on their page. But I see what they do and I'm like, you know what, they're practicing doing runway stuff. And yeah, it'd be awesome to do a runway, but like I'm not gonna be in front of billions of people and like I'd be in LA or whatever.
Mhm.
But now I think, is it worth it? Like who even has
Right.
a modeling class
That's true.
around here?
That's true.
Like I could find a ballet class, but I'm not doing that.
So to close out, give a number one tip you would give to a young lady or guy going into modeling. What's the number one tip you would give them, or piece of advice?
Conflicts are always going to come in your way, and never let that get you down because it only will bring you higher.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's cool.
Yeah.
And how can the fam find you? Go ahead, drop your Instagram handle. Plug it up.
Livy Lou 527, you already know.
Is the snap included?
All right, Liv, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.